This episode is sponsored by Battlefoam.com, now with new lower shipping prices.
In this episode, you could win a Blighted Ogren theme force for Hordes from Privateer Press. For your chance to win, come across to beast4.com and get your comments in on the Weekender.
Hi guys, and welcome back to The Weekender. We are back from UK Games Expo. First things first, we've got to tell you about a load of prizes.
Yep.
But before that, just a quick update on prize claims. Where are we?
Currently things have been really crazy in the office, creating tons of new content. Do not worry if you have won a prize and have got your prize claim in. It is in the system, and I will be taking care of it ASAP.
Perfect. So if you're waiting for a prize, don't panic. They are being processed.
Yeah, it's just I'm super busy.
We have, if you're interested in winning prizes, other than the prize we've already mentioned at the start, which is amazing. That box set is incredible.
I love the theme forces that Privateer Press are doing.
We'll show it off at the end of the show so you can get a look at it. But as well as that, we have 44 prizes being given away on our UK Games Expo footage. Those prizes will ship globally, so you can enter from anywhere. And to enter, all you have to do is go into the 3 live blog posts, find the prize entries, the posts but with prizes and stuff, and put your comments in, and then we will be picking commenters at random who will win those prizes.
There's a list of prizes at the beginning of each of those live blog entries, so just go and peruse at your leisure, find one you like the look of, and get your comments in.
And they can enter against all the prizes if they want.
Yeah, certainly.
I'll tell you which one really caught my eye that I would personally love to win, which is the one from the guys over at TT Combat. They put up a 2-player Drop Fleet Commander starter set, a 2-player Drop Zone Commander starter set, a starter set for Rumble Slam, the new Rumble Slam expansion, and all their event-exclusive minis. That was a cool prize. Disengage QVC voice or Eos Ventura voice. Take your pick.
Any other highlights?
Well, first of all, there's the Lightseeker Mega Bundle, if I can say mega. There's the Titan Forge Infernal Golem, which is a beautiful looking model. River Horse, unless you put up a signed copy of Tales of Equestria. That's going to make some people very happy.
Battle Systems put out one of their dungeon terrain sets. They're cool.
Then Sarissa have got a mansion or ruined mansion set. Lots of people seem to want that one. It's got a lot of comments. A signed fighting fantasy book by Ian Livingston.
I want that one.
Me too. Do we have to give that one away?
I want that one.
Well, I kind of want to jump into an arena with Warren and battle to the death for it.
That one is currently sitting safe and sound on my desk, where these two can look at it from a distance if they desire.
So shiny.
Yeah, I'm keeping it safe for you guys. There's also the Gaslands rulebook, templates and dice, and that one just won the Best Miniatures Game rules at UK Games Expo. The Themeborn, Escape the Dark Castle. Thames and Cosmos are giving away 2 exit games. So we've got...
There's tons. Like I said, 44 prizes, and they're all great. So go in and have a look at that. We'll be pushing that over the course of the next few weeks. If you want to know what you've missed from UK Games Expo, go and check out those live blogs. We'll also, next week, I believe, we've been reaching out to all of the other press that has been there. So next week we'll be publishing a bit of a roundup and a catch up with the other bloggers and press agencies and stuff that were at the show to have a look at the at other stuff that we missed and stuff that they've looked at in more detail. So stay tuned next week and we'll bring you that roundup.
We already kind of did that because we were lucky enough to get the guys from Glasshammer Games who are running the Star Wars Legion tournament streaming on our site.
It was great. And we're looking at getting more and more of these crossovers and stuff going. For anybody that hasn't been aware, we are introducing a new name, OnTableTop. So if you go to OnTableTop.com, that'll take you into BC4, and there's a nice big blue banner there where you can click and learn about what OnTableTop is and where we're headed. So there's going to be a lot more collaborations going on, and a lot more opportunity for you to show off your projects, because we have launched BC4 2.0.
Yay! Confetti
it's here.
So we've got it launched. We still have a load of work that we're trying to do. The launch window had to be pulled back so it could be help be compliant with the whole GDPR thing that was going on. But we have hubs and things that we're implementing and loads of other functionality. We're also fixing bugs here and there as they crop up and making the whole thing run slicker. But when it's running well, it runs really, really well, and it's getting better, and it's getting tighter as every day goes by. The new website is completely responsive, so it works across all of your mobile devices and your TV screens and things like that. It's the crown and the jewel, or the jewel and the crown, you might say, was the new project system where you can come along and create a project and add entries to that project as you work through building an army or designing your gaming space or doing a piece of terrain or painting a miniature or writing a story. It doesn't matter what it is. You can create a project about it, and then other people can go in and give you little nominations for your projects and follow it. And with nominations and thumbs up and creating projects and creating comments and activities in the forum, you now unlock achievements. That's right, we have an Xbox Live kind of achievement system built into the back end, so we're awarding achievements all over the place. The new Beast of War 2.0 is also a big catalog. It's based around what we're hoping will be a very fast-growing and interesting catalog. So all of the games are cataloged in there. You can now rate games, and you can write your own reviews of games as well. And as well as games, we have companies, we have ranges, we have places. Now, places is an interesting one because it's somewhere where you can promote your stores, your clubs, your venues, your tournaments, I suppose. Anything that is located in a place and does things. It can go into places. We also are waiting to see things like battlefield tours going in there.
That'd be great.
Cool museums and military museums and things that other wargamers and gamers might be interested in. Conventions, yeah. And you can go in there right now with a free account and create a place and have it appear on the map, and it gives somewhere for wherever you are in the world. You can have a wee look around and see what is around you. So yes, it's been a big couple of weeks.
It has.
Right. Talking of a couple of weeks, I think we have something rather cool to look at.
We do.
Yeah, this is something I have been waiting for. I'm waiting for it to arrive in the studio.
He holds it upside down.
A Song of Ice and Fire.
I am so happy. Look at the size of this. So this is your core box with your Lannisters and your Starks in here.
Yep.
I had the good fortune last year to get to play this game with Michael Chanel from CMON.
Yep.
It was such fun to play. This is a very, very, very clever tactical war game in a box.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get on the Kickstarter, and, well, just whenever this hits retail, grab it, because it's good.
Is it good? Yeah.
It is so good.
What is it? What is specifically about the mechanics that you like, Justin?
It's the sideboard play where you actually have political intrigue affecting how your units act on the battlefield. So you will have your main units on the battlefield playing out your battles, but you will have essentially side characters who are working in the shadows to actually give you bonuses during the round.
That's like your little fingers and...
Yes, so Sansa, Catelyn, Tyrion, you've got Cersei Lannister. So in the core box, I believe it's Cersei, Tyrion, Sansa, and Catelyn Stark are all your sort of sidebar characters. And depending on how you actually pay for them and bring them into the game, they will actually do different things because they have an activated ability as well as the actual political board ability. The other thing is, just by changing your commander, your army will play in a completely different manner. So it works so well. Yeah. If you want to see any of the games that we've already played, they are up online in the CMON area on the site. Yes.
Yeah. Well, they're on the Song of Ice and Fire game hub. So if you go through to the Song of Ice and Fire, it's linked. If you come over to beast4.com, it's linked down in the sidebar here. Any games that we talk about on the show get linked into the sidebar. You can click on that little brown button, and it'll take you through to the game where you can watch content that we have on the game. You can see any places that have listed themselves as that they play the game, and you can write your own reviews and things like that of the game if you're at a point where you want to tell people all about it.
So this is your rulebook.
Okay,
this is all you need to play. Right. This is not a heavy book to actually read and get into the game.
That is not a heavy book to get into the game,
That's
Justin.
Surprising.
And everything you need's in that.
Everything you need is going to be in this rulebook to actually get up and going on the game.
Awesome. Right, so we have that.
We have all of our terrain tokens, and I believe, if I'm right, this is probably the political board. So if we open this up...
Okay, let's try and get that open. Yeah, there we go.
So if we grab this first... Yes, so this is what I was talking about with your political board. So during the game, you can move this out of the way, activate...
Let me see. Yeah?
You activate your political character, and you place them on one of these spaces. Now, depending on if you're Stark or Lannister, some of these spaces will be more benefit to you. So, if you look, there are tactics cards you can be drawing. You can make friendly units make extra attack actions. If you're the Starks, see this one with the cavalry on it?
Yeah.
You really want to be activating these two, because the Starks love to fight, they love to move. Whereas on this side, the crown and the coin bag, that's more for the Lannisters, and this is just something very handy in between.
Because they always pay their debts.
Yes. Yeah. And they're currently ruling the Seven Kingdoms.
For this, I would probably side with the Lannisters. I love their political
honestly, I love how the Starks play in this game, because they've got the Great John and the Berserkers in there, and they're so good, and they have cavalry in the box.
Where'd the rest of the cardboard go?
I put it down here.
I'm not finished looking at it yet. So let's... Okay, so what else is on that? So
in this, you have all of your different types of terrain, right? So you've got forests, you've got corpse piles, you've got marshes, you've got...
a Godswood.
Godswood, yes.
Yeah.
And depending on which one of those it is, those will give you different abilities that actually take effect. We then have all of our different tokens to actually mark status effects and stuff. These I don't remember, unfortunately. These are actually just your range rulers.
Yeah.
So having those in the box straight off the bat, you can just get playing.
There's the Iron Throne.
Yes, there is.
I remember during the Kickstarter they had this beautiful big iron throne model.
And then we have hedges, walls, more corpse piles, and if you flip these over, right.
Oh, they're all double-sided,
yes. So these ones, you now have spikes and ruined walls.
Yeah.
So there is everything you need to play in this box. You've got your terrain, you've got your tokens, you've got your minis, you've got your rulers. It even has the dice. So yes, everything to get playing you have in this box.
Okay, so dice. Okay, well, dice are fairly standard dice.
These are all of your unit cards.
Yeah.
So these are all the different stats and special rules. Everything is pretty much baked into the cards, so you're not going to be leafing back and forward through the rulebook all that often, so it works really, really well.
Let me try and get this on screen for you guys. Oh. So, hang on. There we go.
Yeah.
So
that's just some basic stuff.
The artwork's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, the artwork is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, really, really nice.
Yeah. And all the units play very, very differently. There's a great feel and flavour to them. We then have these, which are your tactics cards. So these are some of the different shenanigans and things that you can play during the game, depending on which side you are. So both sides get a deck of these.
That is a fairly hefty deck.
Well, that's for both sides.
Yeah.
So if you split that in half, you're pretty much at what you need.
So
one half will be Starks, the other half will be Lannisters. And there's a couple of these.
There's some others in there as well.
Yes, there's some others in here as well, which I believe are for your...
Siege Defender, secret missions.
Yeah, I believe they're actually event decks.
Okay, right. So, right. Well, then this is your event cards here then, yes?
Well, these are your tactics cards.
Oh, your tactics
play
cards,
through the game.
Yeah, okay.
So these are for all the different things you can do with your faction. So you'll play those out and you'll basically get what it says on the tin, or on the card, actually.
Yeah. So when an enemy non-combat unit activates, the NCU loses all abilities until the end of the round.
Yeah, and if you control the
crown, one opponent must also randomly discard one tactics card.
Yeah, so this is where that political intrigue comes in, and the Lannisters love using those.
So there's Lannister ones, and then there's Stark ones. So these tactics are themed
and tailored,
to the actual house and army itself. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's where a lot of your tactical depth comes from in this game, is playing those extra little tricks. You see if you can get like extra movement onto your cavalry to get round to like the side or a flank, you can be absolutely devastating to your opponent.
So what does the game feel like when you're playing it? Is it quick?
It is very quick. I mean, like, playing through the rounds is very intuitive. You're not having to stop, check books, check tables or anything like that. You just get on with the game. The game gets out of its own way and lets you play, which is something I love about it. That, and you get a ton of miniatures in this box.
Let's not waste any more time. Let's get in here and actually have a look at the miniatures. So here we have our first set.
So these are all your Starks.
Now, I just wanted to point out the models, I believe, were sculpted by Dark Sword.
Yeah,
and they've been doing They've been making models based on Game of Thrones for a while now, and their sculpts are just lovely. Yeah. I was really excited to see that CMON had teamed up with them for this.
Okay, right. Let's get in a little bit closer here, guys, and actually start to see how these have turned out. Actually, they are very nice.
Yeah,
they are.
What you have there,
quality.
I believe, is one of the Stark Sworn Swords.
Goodness me, these are lovely. There's not a bent sword in sight.
Yep. That, I believe, is one of
They feel like hard plastic.
House Umber Berserkers.
I think they are, yeah.
Yeah, these feel like hard plastic, guys. This is not that PVC kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This actually feels like a hard ABS style plastic.
Yep. All pre-assembled straight out of the box.
Yeah.
So it's just open the box, start playing. If you're wanting to paint these, there's enough detail on there that your washes, your dry brush, all those simple techniques that we all have are really going to bring them up beautifully.
These miniatures are first class.
Have a look at Greywind.
For pre-assembled?
Yep.
Yeah.
Have a look at Greywind, the wolf. Oh, that's the Great John.
Well, let's have a look at the Great John here.
He's fabulous, isn't
Check that out.
Now, compare his skill to a normal guy. He's a bit beefier, isn't he?
He is.
Wait till we get to the mountain.
Here's the wolf.
Yeah, so Greywind is really nicely done, beautifully characterful. You should have Robb Stark in there as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Who is that?
That's Robb Stark.
Is that Robb Stark?
Yes, indeed, that is Robb Stark. And then
so
you
the
should
king
have
in the
Caitlyn
north.
and Sansa.
Sansa
so that's Sansa.
Caitlyn.
And that's Caitlyn. Yep. Lovely work, aren't they?
These are really, really top notch.
Yeah, your berserkers look great.
Just to clarify about the whole Dark Sword and CMON thing, Dark Sword worked with CMON, so Dark Sword didn't actually do any of the sculpting. That was all done through CMON, but everything was done in line with Dark Sword because obviously they have their own range of some licensed 5 miniatures, which licensed to through Martin and stuff. So that it was all done as like a collaborative effort. Just so you're aware of that.
Okay, thanks, Ben.
Thanks for that clarification.
You put this on the floor for me, Sam.
No,
I can do that.
These are your cavalry.
Check out the cavalry. Oh my word.
Yeah.
This. Oh. Okay, out of the way. Make some space for this. Oh, goodness
Gorgeous, aren't
me.
they? And again, perfectly straight weaponry.
This is incredible.
Yep.
This is absolutely incredible.
Yep. And then down the bottom of that tray, you've actually got some banner bearers in there as well to go into your units. So you've got the Sworn Sword banner bearer there. And they're going to give you like little extra abilities. And then you have the Berserker, the House Umber Berserker.
Yeah.
And
now, why I'm so taken by these is so many of the Kickstarters and the board games recently, they've been pioneering this the PVC stuff. It's kind of a more bendy plastic, but what happens is it does get bent in transit because they take the stuff out, it's still hot, and they package it in, and things get bent. You have to put it in hot water to fix it.
If you think the volumes of stuff they're having to work with, it has to be sprue or whatever down.
Some companies are getting around that by doing a mix of the PVC and plastic, ABS, and they use the ABS for swords and stuff like that. This is really, really, really taken me by surprise because I'm almost certain that all of that feels like a hard plastic. It's just wonderful, and the fact that it comes pre-assembled and assembled so well.
It goes to show how much we've come along with board game components. I mean, these are superbly detailed. This is beyond the level of quality that we used to associate with tabletop. Straight, more usual assembled tabletop gaming pieces, and the detail has me so hopeful for what else CMON are going to make from the A Song of Ice and Fire world. Can you imagine what the Dothraki are going to look like, or the White Walkers, or the dragons? Ben, yes.
For me, I want the Night's Watch for this game, just because they're my favorite faction from the TV show.
No, these have been designed so well and assembled so well that I'm not sure where the joins are on a lot of this. You might be able to see one or two joints here and there, but it is really, really well produced.
The way they've designed it is sort of with an undercut plug and played style.
Yeah.
So that where you would have an overcut from like a saddle or a shoulder, your joint goes up and in behind that, so it is actually really well hidden.
That's it. That's astonishing.
Yeah.
The quality of these is absolutely astonishing.
Can we get a quick look at some of the Lannisters?
Absolutely.
But before we look at the Lannisters, it's actually the outside wrapping of the Lannister trays I want to actually show you guys.
Okay.
This is something I love when a company does. It is incredibly simple, but it is going to save you so much heartache.
Mm-hmm.
You see this?
Yes.
Telling you and showing you where everything goes on its tray.
Yes.
That makes me happy. I know it is simple and pedantic as hell, but it makes me happy. Inside, my organization nerd is just going, yes, thank you, CMON.
Okay. Right. Will we whip them out?
Yeah, whip them out.
Let's whip them out here. Do we see?
Let's see this.
So I'll give you that.
Yep. So that's it.
And we get. Is the Hound in this?
No, but his brother is.
So you've got Jaime Lannister, and Sir Gregor Clegane,
The Mountain.
and then you've got Cersei and Tyrion.
Right. So
I'm
let's
happy Tyrion's
see.
in there.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Well,
me too.
I think that's either Tyrion or Sam. So.
I love this, and it looks... That is the perfect Tyrion from the books.
And that has got to be Jaime there, is it?
Yep, that'll be Jaime looking all heroic before he lost his hand.
Jaime and Tyrion
so
are
it's
two
earlier
of
in
my
the book.
favourite characters.
This is obviously the Mountain here.
Yeah, look at the size of him.
That's incredible.
He comes with a unit of his own guys.
Here's one of the Stark men, just to put him up.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Now, the Mountain actually comes with his own unit, and the guys from that unit are bigger than the regular guys.
Yep.
But not quite as big as the Mountain, which I think is a really nice touch.
And here we have Cersei.
Yep, looking gorgeous.
Looking very sultry and evil.
Yes.
And twisted and political.
Yep. Yes.
Brilliant. You then have a lot of the halberd guys.
Yep.
I love this army. This is my choice.
Yeah, this is my choice as well.
Mm-hmm. And swords.
Yes, those guys are the House Clegane Mountain's men.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you compare them to a regular guy, they're just that little bit bigger, that little bit beefier, but the Mountain just dwarfs them all.
Yeah.
That was not a joke against Tyrion.
Yeah. Excuse the pun, Justin, yes.
Yeah, you should also have Lannister guardsmen in there who should be sword and shield, which should be the next trade down.
Yep, there we go. And there are Lannister guardsmen there.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
They're beautiful, aren't they?
These are gorgeous models.
Can you move the tray a bit there, Warren?
Oh, sorry, dudes. Yeah, I'm just...
Yeah, you're enamored by them.
Oh.
More halberdiers.
Wow. Now, in terms of... let me try and get a closer look in terms of flashing and the likes.
Mm-hmm. I'm not really seeing any.
I'm not seeing much in the way of flashing at all, guys.
I see a little flashing on Cersei. That came out wrong.
Dude!
There is a little just on her dress there, but that's about it. A tiny nub.
Well, what that is, that's an injection point, okay? So there's the odd little small dot where there's an injection point that you might want to give it a little bit of a rub down. But I've got to say, the miniatures themselves, there's little to no flashing on these that I can see. I don't see much in the way of mold lines. It's very difficult to spot where the mold lines might actually be on these because they're pre-assembled. They throw you a little bit because models on a sprue, you often know where to look for the mold lines on the sprue. But these are. I can't even begin to work out where I might be looking for the mold lines. I don't see it in the obvious place at the tops of legs where armor joints and things, the tops of armor plates.
I think it's
really, really good. Yeah.
I think in terms of quality, these are even a step up from the Rising Sun models that we saw a while back.
Yes.
Yeah. Now,
they are something to behold, guys. These really are something to behold.
This is a rank and file game, so there is a little bit of abstraction in the game when it comes to actually units dying.
Yes.
Because it represents people dying, but also people running away from the fight whenever you actually lose people from your bases. So there are ways to actually bring units
Talking
back.
of the bases.
Yes. The actual movement trays. Now, this was something a lot of people online had some issues with, but I like the way these are designed because they play into the gameplay very, very well.
Yeah.
And I see they've done this. So, there was one adjustment that wasn't done to these during the gameplay that I actually filmed, which is, you see this little indent on the sides?
Well, if we show
see right here? This means that whenever you're moving your stuff on the tabletop, you can actually reach that and actually pick your stuff up a lot easier than if it was sheer side straight down to the table.
It's hard to pick up there, but there's
a lot
easy
easier
to pick up.
That's going to make a lot of painters very happy that people aren't just reaching in and grabbing their well-painted models.
That actually works really well.
It's clever, isn't it?
It's a nice touch, that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly,
I drop models anyway, so it'll make no difference to me. But it's,
this just means I can drop them all more efficiently.
Yeah.
So here we can. I just want to see how they
all fit in.
They rank up, and they do. They rank up lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's.
I wonder if there's a situation in the game where Tyrion can end up on the battlefield.
Not that I know of just yet. Currently, he is most definitely a political intrigue character in the strings, in the shadows. But it's a game that I have quite fallen in love with.
Yeah.
And the different factions, they have so much flavour to them, they feel like you're fighting that house's style.
Yeah.
So if you swap out Jamie for the Mountain to be your commander,
yes,
your actual tactics deck will shift a little bit and become a bit more aggressive, and the Mountain will actually change his tactics slightly as well and become more of a bit of a badass. He'll actually step up to that role of command.
Yeah.
Same on the other side with Jon Snow and the Great Jon. It's a fantastic game with lots of replayability in this game.
Right, somebody remind me, who's the Great Jon?
The
one
Great Jon
Umber.
off. Your meat is bloody tough.
The Great Jon Umber.
He's one of the sworn houses that are allied with the Starks up in the north.
Oh, I know the one we're talking about now. Yes, okay. Fantastic. There he is. Yes, okay. Beautiful model. Show you that one again, just so as to just check that out.
It's been a while since I read or watched Game of Thrones. I think Great Jon Umber is one of those ones who is described as being incredibly loyal, an amazing fighter, but not the brightest.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, everybody has their strengths, don't they?
That's why he's on the front line.
Someone has a dump stat somewhere.
Yeah. So do we have any release dates or anything for this yet?
I don't know.
I'm afraid I don't know the release date, no.
Okay, so after all that...
it's definitely one to check out. Check out the show notes below, we will put it there.
Yeah, if we can get that info, we'll stick it in the show notes. Right, guys, thank you very much. Right, we're going to take a very quick break. We're going to tell you about... What are we going to tell you about? We're going to tell you about hubs that haven't been completely built yet on Store 2.0. I've no idea what we're going to do. We might just do a swish. Something's going to happen here to allow us to transition to the news. My brother Lloyd is a very tactile man. And welcome back from whatever that was. There is no official release date, by the way, for Song of Ice and Fire. It's 2018, so it's coming at some point. As soon as we know, we'll let you know.
This is why I love being in his office, getting stuff like that to have a play with.
Flexing.
No!
This is our version of Little Tay right here, so
What?
it is.
I have no idea what you guys are saying.
He's the hottest flexer in the game. Right. Ben, let's get a bit of news, Ben. You're looking fine today. You're looking razor sharp. You've been to UK Games Expo. Your head should be buzzing with all things new and shiny. So lay it on me, man. I'm ready for it.
Okay, so yeah, the first bit of news that came out this week was actually from the guys at Fantasy Flight Games. Now, obviously, they've been churning out loads of amazing releases for Star Wars Legion.
Yeah.
The next stuff that is coming your way is actually a couple of fixed weapon platforms.
Oh, yes.
The Galactic Imperium.
Uh-huh.
So, the first of these is the 1.4 laser cannon team for your rebels. So you remember all those big, huge defense turrets that were set up on the planet of Hoth?
Yes.
Now you can use those in your games. As you might imagine, they're very good for punching their way through vehicles and and decimating infantry units. But of course, they can't move. So you're going to have to set them up and use them properly on the tabletop, which is very cool as well.
The 1.4 FD laser, or FUD laser as I like to call it, okay, is also very good at picking up a large selection of movies and NFL and Premiership soccer. So
that took me a moment.
You'll see it used in sky bars all across the world. But yeah, so as well as the laser defense turret there, you've also got the E-Web heavy blaster as well.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something to use on the Galactic Empire side of things, you've also got a big gun for those guys too. The interesting thing here is obviously we're seeing them develop more stuff that's to do with the Battle of Hoth. So we're seeing the rebel troopers there in their winter garb, and obviously we're seeing snow troopers there in control of the heavy blaster.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if they come up with alternative kits and stuff later down the line, so you can use some other kinds of turrets for other means as well. Although one of the cool things that we talked about this week during the Hobby Hangout is actually painting snow troopers in a very different style, with the both almost the red and cream that you would have seen during the Clone War period.
Yes.
Because that kind of works very cool for them. So if you're interested in using snow troopers in your games, but not particularly placing them on Hoth, you've got some other options in terms of that for paint schemes and stuff. So yeah. Very cool stuff.
Fantastic. On the way over on the boat, I was saying to the guys, we were talking a little bit about Age of Sigmar, and I was saying, Age of Sigmar's been out for a while now. I wonder what's coming along for a refresh. And bang! As soon as we'd said it, here it is. The second edition, brand new starter box. This is called Soul Wars. Prepare to have your socks blown off with this one.
Yeah, so this is the new second edition for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. It's been a long time coming after the events of Malign Portents, where death was marauding its way through the mortal realms. Now Sigmar is facing a new prime enemy, effectively, a new arch-villain. It's no longer the forces of chaos, it is now the forces of death themselves. So yes, they are the main threat to the mortal realms as it stands right now. And that means that you get two big armies in this new starter box, which is called Soul Wars. You've got the Stormcast Eternals and the Sacrosanct Chamber, and then you've also got the Night Haunt, which we've seen in some of the previews already, looking ahead to Age of Sigmar 2nd edition. As well as that, you're also going to get yourself a map rulebook, which will contain a whole bunch of new and updated rules for you to play the game with. And the big important thing for a lot of people is that this new book actually contains a lot more fluff and background, and importantly, maps. There's going to be maps of the mortal realms, there's going to be artwork of the mortal realms, so all these problems that a lot of people have been having about situating themselves within this world should hopefully be solved with what's happening in 2nd edition. The other big thing as well that's coming out of this is a real much more heavy focus on magic. So there's going to be a new supplement called Malign Sorceries, which not only gives you a lot more things to do with magic, but also 3D magical elements to use during your games. So all these big spells and stuff, they're no longer represented or dice or whatever. They're now actually going to have full-on realistic pieces of magical effects.
Yes.
So.
Oh, lovely. So it's like a flaming set of jaws, a big brain spiky skull. Oh, I love this.
Yeah, they're incredible wee pieces.
Oh, I love this. That's a nice touch, actually.
If you go up a second there, though, the one piece that really caught my eye are the new Banshees.
Oh, yeah.
Aren't they great?
They are beautiful.
This out.
I love the way they've designed them with the empty armor.
Yes. They're some of the most beautiful figures Games Workshop has ever produced, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the cool thing about what you're seeing there in those close-ups of the miniatures is they're going to be part of their push-fit range. So they're going to be the ones that you'll see with the amazing sculpted bases that you can pick up and try out your test schemes on before you go and pick up some of the other models. And importantly, those models in those push-fit kits are very, very different from the ones you get in the actual larger assembled kits as well.
Yeah.
So there's something a little bit different for you as commander figures and things like that as well, which is very nice. For anyone that's worried, about what's happening with the rules and everything like that, there's still a general's handbook, so there's still going to be ways to play points cost, and there's all going to be, going down the route of those 3 ways to play and everything like that. And there's also going to be a lot of effort put into bringing forth all the things that people loved from the first edition as well. So you're going to have skirmishing and all that kind of thing going on as well, which is very, very cool indeed. So yeah.
What do we call the guys that look like
Skaven?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they are glaive wraiths. So yeah,
they're
and as you might imagine, yes, they are based a little bit on some Skaven that you might have seen. So yeah, very cool.
Love those.
I love the way the sculpt actually has it, that some of the ghostly tendrils are actually moving through solid matter and coming out again.
It's just
very clever sculpt design.
So yeah, things are going from strength to strength when it comes to Age of Sigmar. Loads of fantastic models coming out. One of the big things to check out if you're getting interested in this is to go over onto the Warhammer community blog site, where they've been in-depth stuff about the different factions and talking through how they are, how some of them are changing when it comes into 2nd edition. Because a lot of the kinks and stuff with 1st edition are being ironed out. It seems to be going down very, very well with the sort of core Age of Sigmar community, and I've had a lot of people talking about it in my local gaming stores, saying that they're going to start getting into it again. I think so.
It's a beautiful box set.
This might be the push I need. You're right. Blew my socks off.
Yeah, really good. Next up, we have sticking with the fantasy trope. We have Kings of War, Elementals, and Demons. These are 2 new big models. Yeah.
Yeah, so Kings of War and Mythic Games has not been idle, even though Hellboy has been taking over everything they're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
They have also been working on some amazing new models to go with your Kings of War armies. So the first of these is actually for the Forces of Nature, and it is a greater water elemental, as you'll see in the piece there. Absolutely fantastic looking model. It's got some really cool action to it as well, where it's dragging parts of the sea with it, which I thought was a very nice touch. And it's always quite hard to get elementals right, but I think that Mantic have done a very good job with that one. So if you're interested in the Forces of Nature, there's a new elemental for you to pick up. The other really cool model, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, was the Abyssal Cronius. I want to say that's what it's called. And it's effectively their take on what you'd imagine a Balrog would be like for the Abyssals in the world of Mantica. So yeah, it's a very cool, massive monster that you can have at the head of your Abyssal forces. And it just shows that they're developing a lot more stuff when it comes to Kings of War and updating a lot of the sculpts and bringing new ideas and new techniques into the mix as well. Of course, Vanguard is still happening. So all the fulfillment on Kings of War Vanguard from Mantic is still going on in the background. So people that enjoyed and got on board with that skirmish game, you've still got really nice things to come for that. We've seen some really cool previews of giants and some dwarves and everything. So yeah, if you're interested in Mantic and Kings of War, that's still definitely a thing to get yourself involved with.
The Cronius grabs me actually from the side shot there. I'm really liking that. I'm really liking that. Go to the side shot there, Justin. Just look at that. Yeah. Now that is an energetic model from that side
dynamic
shot. Yeah. I really like that. I'm not quite sure about the water one. Go back to the water one for me there.
Now the water elemental is the one I actually like the most, especially when we look at it from the back. Because there you have the spars of the ship forming almost like a rib cage, a spine there.
Yeah.
Just you get the feel of this wave picking up everything in its path.
I like the idea of it. I'm just not convinced by the execution of it. There's something a bit lumpy about
It's a bit Oldhammer.
I don't know. There's something a little bit. I can't tell if it's the paint job that's doing that or the actual model itself.
Oh, so you think the water effect should actually be smoother rather than as if it's bubbling?
It's hard to tell, but if you look around the mouth area.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
and coming down this segment here.
Yeah, I can see it just right in there. Just it looks a little bit scaly.
Yeah, there's something a little bit strange about it. I don't know. It's certainly that one though. That model there has completely grabbed me.
I have a thought for this one.
Yeah.
What would you say if someone actually painted? See everything that's black here?
Yes.
Paint that as wood and make it look as if a tree elemental has just went on fire. Tell me that would not look incredible.
Well, it wouldn't look much like a tree, but
you've got just enough there that I think you could paint that as timber, as if it was a wooden elemental that has then been set on fire, and I think it could look incredible.
Do you know what? I would love to see it.
Yeah,
I would love to see it. I think it would be a really interesting somebody fire that up as a project on Piece of War till we see that. Okay, our final bit of news for this week. Ymir has been previewed for Mythic Battles Ragnarok.
I am so excited to see this.
I have such a love of the Old Norse. Yeah, I'm so into this. Ben, fill us in, man.
Okay, so some news that came out just as we were heading off to UK Games Expo, but this was from the guys at Monolith. Obviously, they're going to be launching Mythic Battles Ragnarok next year, and that means that they're going to see a whole bunch of awesome Norse figures being brought into the fold. And one of these is the first of the giants, Ymir himself, the ice giant of legend that we all know from all kinds of different things. Yeah, very, very famous model. And they were showing off the amazing artwork for this, and also the sculpt as well that they're going to be putting into. Actually, we'll talk about it later, but they're actually going to be putting into their Mythic Battles Pantheon 1.5 Kickstarter as well, which is very cool. But yes, this is good. This is the first proper model that we've seen for Mythic Battles Ragnarok, and it's looking very, very cool indeed. And I think a lot of people are already putting aside some money for that Kickstarter when it happens, including me.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
My bank account is already screaming in terror.
Yeah, I've been rewatching the Vikings TV series again.
Me too.
I couldn't resist. I had to go right back to the start and start it all over again.
I've been
loving it. A skill shot.
Yeah, show me a skill shot. Oh my word!
It's huge.
We had a little bit of a talk there about sort of execution and stuff when it comes to models, just in the last story we were mentioning. And there's a lot of people that were wondering about this one as well, and it's something that's hit me when I was looking at this as well. I very, very, very much enjoyed the artwork. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think something has been lost in the sculpt. I'm not entirely convinced by the new head. I'm sure that.
Well, do you know what? Let's have a closer look at it. Let's bring up the artwork and then the sculpt, and let's get a good look at it. Mm-hmm. Right, artwork is utterly superb. There's no doubt about it. That artwork is cracking.
It's an incredible take on him here.
Yeah. So let's look at the sculpt then.
Oh, I see what they've done. They've changed the mouth to be more wailing open.
It's more gapey, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm with you on this, Ben. I think the artwork actually trumps the sculpt in this one.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to this a little bit later in the show when we talk about the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But it's one of these things where I think the interpretation is fine, and it's nice to see that a sculptor taking their own lead on this. But when you see artwork as amazing as that, maybe it's just a good idea to translate it straight over, I think.
Yeah.
Well, for me, one of the biggest challenges that anyone was going to have with this particular sculpt was that transition from the metallic areas into the encased ice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the face I don't mind at all. It's the actual transition of ice to metallic components that is sort of throwing me just a smidge on this.
No, that's something I love, actually. That's the thing that I really like about this figure.
No, I love the concept. I just think the execution needs just to be a little bit sharper on that.
It might be one of those things that comes across a lot better when you see a painted version, because obviously we're seeing this in its raw form here.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to see what an artist would do to that to make it pop, I think. So, yeah.
Okay. Right. That wraps up our news. We have Mythic Games in the studio. They're going to sit down with Sam and bring us up to speed on Solomon Kane, which will be launching very, very soon.
Hello everyone, I am joined by Leo from Mythic Games.
Hello, Sam.
And Az from Mythic Games.
Does it seem weird saying Az from Mythic Games?
It does. It does still feel weird.
Still feels weird to me. You know, still feels weird. Yeah.
Yeah, you're on the wrong side of the table here. Now, And you guys are here to tell us all about the new game, Solomon Kane, that is coming to Kickstarter. Yes. Now, I have been hyped as hell for this game. I love Solomon Kane. So
grab the box up. Go on, bring him up here. There, look at him. Look at him. He's such a badass. Yeah. He is the 16th century quintessential badass. Actually, let's
see if we can.
Here, I'll hold it up here if you want. I'll go a bit of the old do. Yes. Yeah. We're very, very excited to have this IP.
Yes, because he's such an interesting and fascinating character created by Robert Howard. Yep. And once you get to read the stories, you will see how badass he is, and all the mysterious adventures he goes.
He is the epitome of just a soul-driven, single-minded, Puritan Englishman zealot. He's vengeance incarnate. He is all about eradicating darkness everywhere. And I think, let me bring up actually. This picture kind of encaptures that. It's that gloomy, sullen, stern, ice cold through his veins kind of feeling Solomon gave.
Robert Howard was a genius. He invented some of the iconic characters that we still have today. Mm-hmm. For instance, the cold-blooded, lawmaker, but not nice, as you said. I think like he's kind of a Judge Dredd from the 16th century.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
See, so
that's a great way of putting it.
He created an archetype, the barbarian archetype with Conan, and now he created the witch hunter archetype. And the way he's dressed, you see this Puritan, to dress him as a Puritan, very dark, and have him look for evil and punish the bad guys. This was copied, or this was
it set homage. Exactly.
Homage. Well,
it set the template for essentially everything we've seen now that's incorporated these.
Like for instance, Van Helsing. They dressed him like him, which is not how Bram Stoker described him.
That always made me laugh, because in that Van Helsing movie, he's working for the Catholic Church and he's dressed like an English Puritan.
I know.
Don't know what happened there.
That's why.
Would you like to talk a little bit about the art? Because the art for us is a huge part of this game. I have this image of Solomon again.
Yeah. Well, this time for this project, we decided we would only have one artist, which gives a big coherence to the whole thing, and you know how important art is to us. So we had the biggest fan of Howard and Solomon Kane to draw that, and that was Guillem, that we worked with before. We worked with him on Mythic Battles. He did some terrific covers, like
the art from those games is just stunning.
Thank you.
We're upping the game. We're going further. Obviously, it's hard to beat gods, but we're coming pretty close with it, with the things that we're going to be throwing at Solomon Kane, and the artwork. We're going to go through a ton of it here, actually. So
So this guy is Guillem Pongilupi. He's from Spain and Catalonia, exactly, and He's read Solomon Kane when he was 16 or something. So he loves the character, and he said, you know what? I want to be the reference. I want people, when they
think of Solomon Kane, of the art we have done.
Yes, and so he's worked very, very hard on this. Well, this guy is working for TV, for movies, for video games, but he's dedicated himself for 6 months only for this project.
Well, we actually have the Solomon Kane miniature here.
This is your painted miniature.
He's sitting on the board right now. Let's get a closer look at him here. Yes. There he is.
I really, really love this pose, because when Robert E. Howard writes about Solomon, he obviously talks about his garb and his dress, which is one thing, but he also very much talks about his weapons. He's always talking about his pistol, his sword, his dirk, the weapons he has available, and how Solomon was always ready. Even when he slept, he always had his sword right at hand. He was never, ever unaware of danger and the ever-present stalking of trouble around him.
You know, he doesn't hesitate to kill when necessary. He's a good character. Like, he really wants, he feels like he has a mission, but he won't hesitate to kill the bad guys.
He's a good guy, but he's not nice.
No, and it's captured the sculpt here. It's captured the art that we really had to get them done. We have a whole team of sculptors this time helping us because we're hoping in this Kickstarter to have over 100 unique sculpts. And obviously we've up to 15 mil was the scale for Joan of Arc, but now we're talking about 35 millimeter for Solomon Kane.
Yes.
So obviously it's a question we get asked quite a lot, and we decided to push the boat out and still have loads of different variations.
Yes, and because we have this bigger version, and because we like to enhance what we've done before, there are some new things on these minis. Each miniature will have their own unique base and textured base.
Yes,
so
I noticed
they will
that.
all be different. Here, some of them do, but these are still
we'll show them all off and you get to see a number.
Well, actually, let's talk about it. If we've got a wide variety of miniatures here. We've seen Solomon Kane. What about these guys? These guys here.
Yeah, so if you grab them in there, there's now tell you a little bit about them. Those are basically shadows. Now these are representations of evil. These are basically they represent all the darkness of the 16th century. So whether it's monsters, whether it's ghouls and demons, or if it's necromancers, but they also represent people and oppression and evil bandits and pirates. And Shadow's presence on the board is basically the representation of darkness and danger encroaching on Solomon and making his whole world more grim and putting him through tests of his faith, of his strength, of his courage. And these are basically beautifully painted by Seb Levine in this instance, a universal way to kind of show that Solomon is always...
So they're not visible to Solomon Kane,
exactly.
that he can feel their presence. And it's kind of oppressive, They are coming and there's something lurking there.
So they're not even necessarily creatures, or they're almost like the embodiment of the Force.
That's it.
Of
Darkness.
Of darkness, not the Force, just forces.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's worth saying, whenever we approach Solomon Kane, we have Jake Thornton as the lead designer of this. So people may know him from his days at Games Workshop, his days at White Dwarf, or even maybe his days at Mantic, when he did the likes of Dungeon Saga, did the likes of Dreadball. So he's the lead designer for this, which we are very, very, very happy with. And we had to approach, how do we look at taking a single character and making a game where we can have multiple people involved. So we've designed a game which works 1 to 4 players, and we've decided to pin it around the original cardinal virtues. So this is prudence, temperance, courage, and justice. And these are the player characters that you'll be playing with.
Because the problem is, Solomon Kane is a lone... a lone guy.
Yeah, lone wolf.
Lone adventure.
Yeah. Yes,
it's very rare. He has some occasions where he's allied with other people, but it's very, very rare.
So if you play cooperatively, who would play Solomon Kane and who would play what? So we all get to play him because we are playing the cardinal virtues. So these big immortal beings that he strongly believes in and who will help him.
And again, are immortal but not physically present, just like the shadows. They are those personifications of good and light and holiness.
That is a great way, because I remember when you first announced you were going to be doing a Solomon Kane game, and I was very confused because I was like, okay, you've got Solomon Kane, maybe no longer occasionally. That's about it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he doesn't have many friends to rely on. Yeah.
So that's a very good way around. And it does have that mythic quality to it.
Yes, absolutely, because this is all about his faith, his mission, his divine mission, and so these characters were represented actually. They were based on the way they represented the cardinal virtues in the 16th century. Yeah. So they were women. So we have 4 elegant and very
strong and the presence of them is
inspiring women.
They do tower over everything else on the board.
Yes. Yeah, they stand about 80 mil tall. So they're basically twice the size as Solomon himself, and they're meant to represent that because they're omniscient. They're present, but they're not directly physically enacting with the world. They're overlooking and intervening when they have to prevent Solomon from getting overwhelmed. Yeah. If you want to, we start grabbing a couple and having a look.
Let's take a look.
When they're close, when they're close to Solomon King, he will get boosted, he will get inspired, and he will get bonuses in his tests.
Yeah.
Who's this first one I've got here? Oh, thank you. Who is this first one here?
That's Temperance.
Yeah. Temperance. I love how she is sculpted floating above the base like that.
Yes, this was a bit of inspiration. We are blessed with the sculpting team that we have. Like we're using both previous people who we've worked with before in Mythic Battles and Joan of Arc. We've also had new guys join the team as well, thanks to the fantastic success that we had with Joan of Arc. And we've been able to put even more time into developing radically different minis where we can.
I strongly believe these are some of the best looking minis that we have produced so far.
Let's see that difference.
You see, each cardinal virtue, each virtue has a symbol, something that represents her, and that was the case in the
in the original art. Yeah.
And for her, these are the two jars that she's holding, Yes, and there's water going from one to the other usually. So here it's through her hands.
Oh yes,
you see,
yes.
So
I think probably one of the things that when people think about cardinal virtues and the things that I think has translated today into modern culture very well is justice is one. So for example, justice is personified by her scales. This is something that I think everybody, as soon as they see the mini, instantly recognizes the whole feeling of justice as a mini.
Everyone recognized that. That iconic image of justice being blind.
And having the scale.
Yes,
the balance.
Of course.
The balance.
She's also floating, I see here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we wanted to have that. Not only were they slightly larger, but they also had to be sort of over and off of the ground, that you could see that they are not part of the mortal plane directly. They are part of the greater world and being, because they're using kind of Solomon almost as their zealot, as their their knight to push forward and help guide him without physically ever touching him. So we have courage. I guess physically actually is a great one to talk about. If I pass you courage.
Yes.
So in one of Robert E. Howard's books, in Skulls and the Stars, he very, very directly references courage. Solomon comes face to face with a ghost who his pistol shots go straight through him. His sword cannot penetrate the ghost at all. He's on the verge of dying when it's only the courage that he musters from his faith that enables him to even begin to touch this ethereal ghost. And it's his belief that allows him to do that and throw the ghost.
Also, the ghost will.
He wins an almost faith and mental battle rather than any kind of physical battle, thanks to courage, and this is meant to embody that.
And it is a case of his personality trait being so strong, it actually impacts the world
his faith and his belief is core to everything. He underpins everything he does. And so, like, for example, if you want to come up to the top cam, we can kind of show, because you mentioned very rightly here, we have 4 tracks in the gameplay. Each one's strength is tied to courage, clarity is tied to temperament, compassion's tied to justice, and then finally prudence, who we can look at in a minute, is tied to the danger and how well Solomon can avoid trouble.
I've been looking forward to
this. Is your favorite one?
This is by far my favorite model.
Is it because she's coming out of the mirror, stepping out?
Yes. Just look at that with the snake and everything.
Oh yes.
Just stepping out of that reflective surface. I think painters are going to have a field day with this particular model.
We hope so. Like that would nothing would please us more than to give minis that people can really enjoy. And to be honest with you, we talked a huge amount about how we wanted the virtues to look, whether we wanted them very, very traditional and kind of more statuesque, because that's obviously the statues are the most common personification you see of them, or whether we wanted to have them painted traditionally of the 16th century, but we decided to go with the ethereal look, the kind of more part of another plane. So we kind of like that they are very much visually separate from everything, but I can't wait to see what people do to them, because I think there's a multitude of options you can take for painting.
And it's interesting because you have both aspects. For the darkness, you have like the shadows that are not really there, and then you will have the other way for the virtues. So it's a battle of the heavens.
So I think it's worth showing. Obviously, we have gorgeous art for these as well. So here you can actually see. So these are the player characters, basically, the 4 virtues. So courage, prudence, justice, and temperance. It's worth noting you can play the game between 1 and 4 players. So if you are playing with less, you don't have to play with all of them. That's no problem. It is completely co-op. So they're literally, you're working together for the whole league greater good, unless you follow the Kickstarter campaign. That's the way it will be.
They each have their own specialty, of course. Each will shine during the story, and they're very, so you have to cooperate, you have to talk, and just make the best use at the good moments.
So this is courage on the left here. Courage really embodies the ability to fight and move and be brave, overcome fear. She really excels most at charging headlong at enemies, and she enables Solomon to most efficiently take down foes that are overpowering him.
And she controls the strength.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
So if Solomon loses, if he gets wounded too much and basically is beyond consciousness, then she's the one who's kind of going to fade away as he weakens.
But
on the opposite, she bolsters his strength.
Absolutely. She can also, if you get that track up, she can embolden him to do much more damage and inflict.
Her symbol is the sword.
Yeah, and the armor. It's all
and the armor. And the symbol of prudence is the snake.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, I think, a mirror, something like that.
Yeah,
right?
that's exactly right. So for Prudence, her role in the game is really related to danger. She actually wants to try and keep Solomon out of danger, to be wise, to be smart, to work with the other virtues, to keep him making decisions that are not going to have him killed. She also will help embody the board and the shadows. The worse the danger gets, the more shadows are going to encroach. So she really needs to get out there and intervene, directly stop shadows and darkness ever reaching Solomon. She will walk onto the board and actually prevent them or take them out off the board and enact holy intervention to stop them getting there.
You can actually see Prudence over here looming above one of the shadows.
So
absolutely love it.
We've also then got the other two, of course. On the left we have Justice. Now the representation of Justice in the game is more like the compassion of Solomon. He's not known as being the most compassionate, but he's very driven by people who are being oppressed or being abused. Yeah. If he finds someone who's been taken advantage of, it inspires him to go and quench them.
Now, it's been a long time since I read Solomon Kane, but I remember nearly every single one of his stories started with him coming across someone in distress.
Very much so.
And then he's very compassionate for them.
And this is it. And the track, when you play the game as Justice, you'll be kind of responsible for how balanced he's able to be. Is he going to just lose his mind and just enact his own justice, or is he going to be fair and let the townfolk, for example, bring someone to justice rather than his divine wrath? And as that changes and ebbs and flows, the players will have opportunity to really narratively explore options, trying to talk people out of doing terrible things rather than simply just blasting them away.
And he's so compassionate sometimes that he could enter a quest, a crusade for many years to avenge the victim, and that could mean crossing different continents.
Yeah, I do remember one where I think he travels to Africa because the daughter of a friend of his is in trouble.
It's been a long time since I read these. There's 15 short stories. We will have all of them involved. That one, Red Shadows, it sounds like I think you might be talking about.
No, it's not Red Shadows. It's another one. Red Shadows has a victim, and he tracks the murderer to Africa. But there's another one. I think it's maybe a cousin or something. And she has been abducted.
That's the one.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
And yes,
it doesn't take much for him to...
I think that's the one with the pirates.
Yes. Oh, yes, you do. Yes, there are plenty of pirates too. The Blue Flame of Vengeance, I think, has
the Blue Flame of Vengeance, and there's another one in Africa with I think it's Nakari, and there's he has to rescue someone again.
It is worth noting. We'll talk about it a bit more later, but we are exploring not just the darkness, but we're exploring humanity. So that means pirates, brigands, bandits. We're also exploring the more fantasy stuff as well.
Well, that is one of the great aspects of Robert E. Howard's Solomon Kane books. Not all of them had fantastical elements. Some of them were
very human,
historical stories.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
It's actually a mixing of Gothic and swashbuckling, and and adventure.
And that's it. And for us, this is all about making a game that feels adventurous, like you're going through a story. I'll skip ahead here and just show off some of the sculpts. Just again, and obviously you've seen them up, but that gives you,
We are very proud of the virtues and people, because they're nice. When they're not always on the board, but they are on your own player board, so you will get to look at them and just play with them in between. Well, until you can summon them on the board.
I actually really like the choice to have them so much larger than, say, Solomon Kane, even though he's the main character of the story. It does give this feel of these great climactic forces in the background.
Absolutely, yes. That's what we wanted. Actually,
The idea is that you may not always use them. They may just be something you bring in when absolutely there's dire straits for Solomon. And the whole feeling of the game is that you're going to be playing through acts. So essentially like stories and chapters. So like if you have a look, for example, we've laid out just a little sample here of the board. We have 4 chapters that create this panorama, this ongoing story. And you work from story to scene to scene to story, learning and evolving. And the key thing about the whole game is that there's multiple options. So you've got 2 here and 2 2 potential options in scene 2. You've got 4 potential options, in chapter 3, and 3 potential outcomes at the story at the end here. So depending on what you do, what you prioritize, you're going to see a slightly different game each time. Yeah. And when and where things get dire will depend on how the darkness deck reacts, because you've got this AI always working against you, whether shadows are able to overpower Solomon and trigger events that'll make things really bad. So you have a different experience every time, and how you play will, whether you bring the virtues in or not, will absolutely depend on how things go for you over the course of the game.
Superb.
It's never going to go perfectly every time. Sometimes it's going to go terribly. And we have a piece of art that this has not been shown before. This is a new piece of art.
Exclusive.
This is one where we did this very early.
Really show that?
It's normally Leo that shows stuff off before anybody else. We have to say, Leo, that's a license. Be good.
You can show this off.
Yes,
now.
This is one that we did this very early because it was core to the entire theme of the entire game. That in Robert E. Hara's books, you know what happens.
Yeah.
So you go chapter to chapter and you get a resolution. In our stories and in our acts and our chapters, we want it to vary. Sometimes you might do better than Solomon was doing in the stories, but sometimes you might do worse. Sometimes you might choose to take a completely different path than the one Solomon took and kill someone who would have survived in the books, or take different actions completely for a different route. And there's ramifications for that. So this piece of art for me embodies that. So this is Solomon, returning to a town where he's too late. He's arrived, he should have been here beforehand, and he's arrived essentially as the town is already burning down, and he basically can do nothing at this stage. And this is really to show that if players decide, we're going to take an extra chapter to go and hunt these bandits, even though we know the town is at risk, we should maybe go back. These kind of decisions will be happening on a regular basis. You will have to prioritize when you share dice with each other, when you use a card, when you bring their virtue in, how you react to a player, or to an NPC, and how you react to nemesises and villains, nemesis, and these huge villains of the Solomon E. Kane and Robert E. Hard world. You'll have these decision points, and that's pivotal to how much I think we're enjoying the game.
Absolutely.
At the minute.
Oh yeah, totally. The fact that, and it's also good for replayability, because you could play and you want to play it again and see, if I do better, what will be the difference?
Yeah.
Actually, you can experience that.
Now, you said that they're going to have the actual stories from Robbie.
Yes, they will indeed.
We've set up a little one here just to show it all off. What story is this we've been playing through?
So this one is based on Skulls in the Stars. So this is a story. We can show a little bit of an opening piece of art that represents this actually. Yeah. So this is a story where Solomon is traveling and he's on his way to Torquer Town, which is this town. And as he's about to set out on the way, he gets stopped by a village boy who runs up to him and says, "No, don't take the path through the moors. Take the path through the swamp. Go back and stay another night and go in the daylight. Don't walk at night at all." And someone's like, "No, I'm going to take the moors path. It's fine." And the boy says, "No,
there's
please."
evil.
He says, "There's evil there." And Solomon, most people say, "Oh, I take your heed." But Solomon says, "No, what evil? Tell me what evil." And the boy says, you can see the boy doesn't want to talk about it, but Solomon forces it out of him. And the boy tells him, 20 people have died over the past year traveling the moors at night. It's too dangerous to go that way. Go back to town. Go through the swamp instead during the day. What does Solomon do?
Well, of course, if you say that to Solomon, he will always go where the danger is.
Exactly. Like this is the embodiment of Solomon. So we set up this little opening scenario that we're absolutely going to play with you guys here and show everyone at home.
I cannot wait to play this. I really cannot wait.
And so the idea is that you begin with a story. And it opens up a scene for you that will give you a little bit of narration and give you an objective for your next chapter. It's important to note that we give you a little bit of information here, but with the full game, we will also have a book with all of the art that you're going to be seeing, with full paragraph stories. All of Robert E. Hara's work. We'll also add some of our own places as well to add our own narrative and optional paths. And this chapter then begins with a story where you all have to work together to start Solomon Kane onto a positive path. And if the darkness works against you and you're not able to that, you're going to have one of two potential options that happen, and if the darkness overruns, you'll get the negative option, and you'll have a new chapter. A bit like in
the books in which you are the heroes,
Yes.
You made something, and you make a decision. Here, it's not a decision. It's whether you meet the victory conditions or not. Yeah. If you do meet the victory conditions, or some of them, you will go one way. If not, you will go the other way, and then the story will be told as we go, and depending on what you've done or not.
I'm always really excited to see ways choose your own adventure stories are integrated into games.
Yeah.
You know, not just the old turn to this page or something.
That's it. Yeah.
Because as you said, it's depending on what actions you take here.
Yeah.
It'll flow more organically, and that is great to see.
I think one thing, so as you go into the chapters, you have to start looking at prioritizing things. You don't always have enough time. There's each chapter you play will have a darkness deck that will specify how many turns you as a group have to take collaboratively, and you'll be choosing the player order each round. So you could go first this round, followed by Leo and I, but then I might be first next time because I can maybe help you with one of your powerful actions. We need to work out how we're going to work together, while all the while the darkness deck is running out, depleting, running out of time, and it's doing horrible things to us. In this particular story, Skulls in the Stars, Solomon is heading out into the moors and he hears a scream of a traveller. And in the book, he hears a scream and the traveller runs to him and is dead, lies dead at Solomon's feet, gouged and attacked and killed. But when we play it, there are actually 4 different possible outcomes. I don't want to give too much away for Let's Play, but I tell you, only one of these is directly related to the story. The other 3 slightly change what happened in the story to affect when Solomon arrives and what happens when he does that. So you then have this chance to enact your own narrative.
And it's worth saying also and noting that even though you've started bad, there's still a chance that you will succeed in the end. So there's still hope. There's no point where in the story you'll say, well, okay, well,
all is lost,
it's not worth continuing, we will lose. No, there's still a chance that you can, and the game is designed like this. Of course, if you've really done very bad for many, many chapters, maybe you will not be able to reach a major victory, but you could still get a victory. So everything will be decided at the very the very end.
There's different stages of sort of major, minor, and defeats and victories.
It's a bit like that image you showed earlier of the burning town. Solomon Kane may have defeated those bandits he set out for, but it's now a Pyrrhic victory.
Exactly.
Yes.
100%. Yeah. So, like, to give you an example, so in this one, as you carry on, this is our Pur Traveller. So this is the scream that Solomon hears as he's heading out onto the moors, and a Pur Wayfarer has basically got lost in the moors, and Solomon has to move as quickly as he can to find him. As I mentioned in the books, he does not find him in time, but it's possible to find him in time when you play through the game.
We have the mini.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, let's take a look at them.
And again, so this is a great example, as Leo was mentioning earlier. You'll see that every single mini we do is going to have a fully customized base, 3D, textured, detailed to match.
And everything assembled, of course.
Of course, yeah.
I must say that Painter did a fantastic job with
this is Seb Levine who did the painting for this. He's done some fantastic stuff for us. He is meant to be missing a hand, we should say.
Not Seb.
Not Seb. The Traveller. And we see, you can see here, whenever
missing an arm.
he gives everything for the job. Gives everything. And when Solomon encounters the Traveller, he also encounters the source of what's been killing the score people over the past year, and this is one of my favourite pieces of art by far. This is Solomon engaging with the ghost of Gideon.
That is a desktop background right there.
Yeah. And in the books, Robert E. Howard describes it initially as mist, and it's not form, and then slowly claws begin to appear, and after the claws, eyes begin to pierce the shadow, and then only after that does maniacal, almost insane, hysterical but evil laughter starts permeating the air, and that was all the detail you really got in the book. So our sculptors did an amazing job of personifying this and creating this really vicious.
He can focus and solidify his claws, which allows him to cause these terrible injuries to the Traveller and to Solomon Kane, who's also wounded by the ghost.
One touch I particularly love about this sculpt is how the pieces of the body do not match up, like the neck here.
There's a whole separation between where the chest and sort of shoulders should be. It's slew right down the middle because he is half formed, basically.
It actually, to me, that not only shows the mist-like quality of it, the insubstantial nature of the ghost, it also almost makes you think of this being rendered apart, tortured itself.
Yeah. Absolutely. Tortured spirit or soul is a great representation of that, because again, in Skulls in the Stars, when Solomon first fights with the ghost, he learns of why it's tortured, why it's tormented, why it's taking its vengeance
truth
out.
And his secret. He gets that. This is also what you will get to see
some of the concept art, and obviously a full original. That sculpt's been improved now, actually, to the one that you have. It's slightly moved. But what he finds out is actually that this is the location of the murderer. This is Ezra's house. And this is in the swamp that Solomon actually ended up avoiding. Gideon was killed in cold blood by Ezra.
Spoilers.
Spoiler this was.
For how old is this story?
Very, very old. Yeah. So this we have Ezra now.
Yep.
In this
Here he is.
little demo that we have in front of us here, you won't actually see Ezra. However, we expect our acts to go on for 7 to 10 chapters. So what we'd like players to do is in a session maybe play through 4 chapters and then save the game if they want. But if they want to carry on in a single session or come back at a later date they can to find Ezra. Now, in the story, again, I mean, I don't mind telling you this because there's many stories we're going to be delving into. Solomon decides that the only way to see it, the ghost of Gideon, is to take Ezra to the place where Gideon's body is kept, where he was murdered in cold blood by Ezra, and let the ghost enact his vengeance on Ezra.
Yeah.
To get so it will be sated and stop attacking wayfarers.
Again, he's a good guy. He's not nice.
But that is a representation of when he decides that, you know, his compassion maybe needs to be towards the townsfolk rather than towards Ezra, who did this terrible thing. But that doesn't have to be what the players decide to do necessarily. You will have to continue this story yourself and work out how you want Solomon Kane to resolve it whenever you're the virtues and you're part of that guiding light for him.
I really love this Ezra's
Yeah,
hut.
here is Ezra himself. Really, he's a wise and old. Yeah, he's really described as gnarled and almost of the swamp in the books.
Miser Ezra.
And this is a piece of art which shows actually in the book. This is what Solomon lets happening by the tree where the body of Gideon is left. The ghost of Gideon then enacts its vengeance onto Ezra.
That might be one of my favourite pieces of art there.
So
that is so gothic.
Yes,
right?
yes, true.
Every single trope of gothic literature is there.
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever you have the book, because obviously these little cards will give you snippets, but whenever you play with the book, if this is the ending that you arrive at as a party, then you'll have this beautiful art with the story that climaxes in the way that you've decided. However, if you decide to break away from this and have a different ending, then you'll have a different story to go through and finish things.
Excellent. So when is this coming to Kickstarter?
12th of June.
12th of June.
Very, very soon. Very, very, very soon indeed.
Yeah. Oh, I cannot wait to see that. I think we're almost done here.
Well, we have a couple of treats, a couple of things. Now, one of these we've already shared. If you've been following our Facebook and you've been keeping an eye on what we have, I want to talk a little bit just about our early bird. If you do decide to come along, if you do it within the first 24 hours, we have basically an early bird treat. It's something you can also pick up later as well if you want. But if you do it in the first 24 hours, we're going to give it away for free. And this is almost like a fragment. This is like the shortest of short stories that Robert E. High have done, and it's this concept art with the painted mini by Seb. And Guillem's art. This is the hand of the necromancer, the right hand of doom. This is a wonderful little story. I say wonderful about a necromancer who is sentenced to be killed, but decides before he's going to have his life given up that he's going to cut off his own hand, and through necromancy use that hand to enact some of his own vengeance, using his empowered. And we decided it would make an amazing sculpt as an extra little bonus feature for people who wanted to support us early.
Again, we do have that here. I will say this is perhaps, other than Prudence, my favourite sculpt I have seen. Yeah. It's a very imaginative way to do this.
To me, I can imagine him tapping his fingers and doing maybe a little kind of, come on, what's happening? He's almost like a clerk there.
I see it, and all that went through my head is,
yeah, you can't. You absolutely can't ignore that comparison. But again, we depicted a little bit here. You have the art of the first art that we did for the necromancer, and Solomon actually with the hand skewered on his blade, which is, to me, I don't know, it makes my hand feel really weird when I look at this one. Actually, I don't really like it.
I look at this, this guy must have had a really hairy hand.
Well, he's described like that in the book. Yeah. Yes, very hairy and huge and big hand. So
it's this story. I don't want to talk too much about the story because although it's one of the smallest and little shortest things that Robert E. Howard wrote outside of his poems that he did, it's because it's the way he describes the necromancer and how he does the hand, and what the hand does is just brutal and fantastic. And we are embracing the darkness. Like, we are definitely embracing the brutality of the 16th century and the things that used to happen there. We do have something exclusive though too.
Do tell.
It's obviously, Leo's done such a good job of holding on to this for a little while.
It was tough.
If we get the support that we want to, and the hope is that we will, of course, via Kickstarter, we have a stretch goal that we'd very much like to hit, and it's the first time we'll be confirming with everyone at Beast of War and with you guys what one of those stretch goals is going to be. This is a 1 to 4 player game. You can play it with 1 to 4, no problem. However, we thought that the game Solomon could really do with a fantastic solo way to play. So you can play the game completely on your own. Now, rather than having to take on the aspect of any single virtue, we thought maybe we need to do something a little bit special.
Well, because if you were on your own, you could play the 4 of them, but it's a little.
It doesn't feel right. No. You want something that embodies more. So we have started beginning concepts and sculpting of Providence.
Oh, let's see him. Oh, that is amazing.
So she will stand even about the same height, if not even taller than the current virtues, and she is really the embodiment of essentially all of the virtues together. She is the future seer, the defender of humanity.
So Providence, of course, is a big supernatural virtue, and I like the fact that it also reminds of one of Robert E. Howard's friend, Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Providence.
Yeah.
So,
I see what you mean. That is such an imposing figure, just looming over those two figures at the base.
So if you're on your own, if you play the solo mode,
yeah, we've had a bit of a joke in the office, of course, solo mode. Yeah, we couldn't not
get in the corner.
It's okay.
Only I make the bad
then
puns
you play Providence, and not the others.
Yeah. So hopefully, if we get the backing that we want to get, we would love to have this be part of the game. It's ready to go. We just need to get the support.
Yeah. I'm sure you will. It looks like an incredible game. The pieces are just fantastic, and I can't wait to dig into it further.
To be honest, I can't wait to play it with you because we haven't spoken at all about the dice or the boards. No, we'll you're going to have to watch the Let's Play. The Let's Play is
quick, very quickly. There they are.
There they are. That's it. A little tease.
That's it. That's all you get.
Because we'll talk about the player boards and all your action cards. Because really, it's not only a cooperative game; it's a really collaborative and narratively driven game that you have to manage your resources. You're using dice. You're using decks of cards, which represent your hand that you're going to will get discarded. You have to pick when you want to use them.
And you can help
There's real strategic depth to it. So everyone's going to have to come back, watch the Let's Play, and see what they think of it. I hope they really enjoy it.
Okay. Right, so we are going to go on here and we are going to play a game. Now, we're turning the cameras off, we're playing a game.
Let's do it.
So, in the meantime, be sure to keep watching and head back to Beast of War for more Solomon Kane in the near future.
Yeah.
Very near future.
Yes.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Hi, I'm Will Hungerford, organized play developer at PrivateerPress.com, and I'm basically in miniatures Valhalla right in here, and you're watching The Weekender at BeastOfWar.com.
I had so much fun digging into Solomon Kane. It's an interesting direction they've gone with it, focusing on the things that guide Kane rather than playing as Kane himself.
Yeah.
It allows you to get around that solo play aspect of Kane. And I don't know, it's the best depiction of an unseen world on a tabletop game I've ever come across.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and mechanically, how did you find it? Because I know you've played it.
Yeah.
Mechanically, how did you find it? Was it fluid? Was it fast? Was it interesting?
It's very fluid, fluid, especially the way that things develop as you go on. It's not the fastest of games.
Yeah,
it is a bit slow, but that I think is more power to it because it allows for the build-up of tension of the atmosphere.
So there's a lot of narrative underlying this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the darkness is embodied on the board around you. It's almost like a random encounter feel when they catch up to you.
Yeah.
In that you see the representation, but you're not sure what that is.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that that's a monster coming to get you. It's more that this is darkness enclosing in on Kane. The things, the forces that are striving against him.
Yeah.
And the more that starts to appear on the board, the more that gathers about him, you do get this claustrophobic feel from it.
Yes. Now, an obvious question I have is if you're not familiar with the background Solomon Kane. For example, like Mythic Battles, Joan of Arc. I wasn't very familiar with the background of Joan of Arc, but that game, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because you learned it from the game, and it wasn't a barrier to getting into the game. Now, from looking, I'm not familiar with Solomon Kane, but looking at it, it looks like an obvious archetype of the witch hunter.
Yes.
So if I have, and I think most of us have a witch hunter, a feel for what the witch hunter actually is, are we going to be able to connect to the game?
Oh, very much.
Was he not like the original witch hunter?
Pretty much, yeah. That image of the Puritan witch hunter, of course, it draws from Malleus Maleficarum and all the Hammer of the Witches back in the day, and all the actual witch hunts of the Puritan times. But that image of the witch hunter going out searching for and battling with evil forces, that is Solomon Kane.
Yeah,
so it comes from there.
Yeah, because I'm getting that vibe of Van Helsing.
Yeah,
and
as I've told you before, they pretty much stole Van Helsing's look and Solomon Kane's look and went Van Helsing.
Yes,
I think Warren, you have it back to front here. So Van Helsing is the derivative of Solomon Kane.
No, I know that. I'm just saying. I don't have any background of Solomon Kane.
And you've got it the other way around. Van Helsing comes after. It comes before Solomon Kane.
Van Helsing is the derivative of.
Oh, I see what you mean. Sorry.
No. Right, we're going to have to sort this out. I apologize, but this needs sorting. Right.
Book,
for something to be derived from.
Yes.
Okay. What you're saying is that Van Helsing was. Did Van Helsing come before Solomon Kane or after? Which is
I'm
it you're saying?
After.
Right.
So am I saying it wrong?
But yes. Van Helsing came before.
So to be the derivative.
Right, so for something to derive from, okay, if I make a mini Justin from you, I have derived that mini Justin from you.
So it is the derivative of me.
So Solomon Kane is the derivative.
So Solomon Kane is the derivative of Van Helsing then.
I've got it back to front. I'm confused. My mind's melted.
Okay,
this is not backstage.
Hang on, wait. Let me find the off switch. Right, but the reason you may be getting confused here is Van Helsing existed in literature before Solomon Kane.
Right.
But the look that they gave to Van Helsing in the Hugh Jackman movie
now I'm getting it. Yeah.
was a witch hunter. Van Helsing wasn't a witch hunter
now I've got it.
Per se. Van Helsing was a vampire hunter.
Now I've got it. Yeah, I understand.
But they lifted the Solomon Kane look and the witch hunter archetype and applied it to Van Helsing there and changed the nature of what Van Helsing.
So basically what we've got there is pop culture Inception.
Yes. That is pretty much it.
Sorry, Ben, what were you trying to say there?
I was going to say as well that while Solomon Kane focuses around the idea of this hunt for the darkness and against monsters and beasts, there's also a lot of scenarios based into this that not only Mythic have come up with themselves, which is very cool, but also that step away from that aspect a little bit too. So you've actually got some courtly intrigues and things like that, and explorations into the wider world that Kane gets drawn into. Like one of the scenarios they talked about is about him fighting on the side of this lover who's trying to find his damsel in distress who's been captured by this nefarious baron and stuff. So Solomon Kane gets himself embroiled with all sorts of strange things that aren't just necessarily to do with the dark evils that go up in the night. So.
Yeah. I find it heartening though that regardless of the literature background to the character and to the game, that many of us can just come to it with and instinctively get the vibe from it. We know what a witch hunter is. We know what his purpose, what his role is going to be.
I would say this is a great way to experience those Robert E. Howard stories for the first time, because they are translating, I think, all of those stories directly into the game.
Mm-hmm.
So the story would become the mission you're playing out?
Yes.
Nice.
And you can, but it's not tying itself directly to it. It is shaping it.
Yeah.
So I think yes, Ben?
It's also a much more modern interpretation of the stories, because Robert E. Howard was Robert E. Howard.
Yeah.
So yes, they've taken some liberties and made sure that it's a lot more up to date story for a modern audience.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Which is a great move on their part.
Mm-hmm. Right. Kickstarter time. Ben, we have 3 Kickstarters we're going to have a look at this week, yeah?
Yeah, so the first one of these is a very big one that shows another video video game producer stepping into the world of board games.
Love it.
This is from Freya League, or Free League, and Paradox Interactive, and this is Crusader Kings, the board game. Now, anybody that knows Crusader Kings will know it as a grand strategy PC game.
Yeah.
That you play by yourself, and you sit there for hours and hours and hours and hours and some more hours.
Yeah.
But
You missed 1 hour.
This is now a game that you can play within 2 to 3 hours for 3 to 5 players, where you take control of the mighty kingdoms and factions of Europe during the period and fight it out to be the greatest nation in the land. You'll be doing all sorts of things that are tied into what drew people to the PC game. So you'll be attacking each other and surviving invasions. You'll be plotting against each other and working behind the screens. You'll be facing up against plagues that are ravaging the lands. You're building mighty castles, developing your dominion, and also going on crusades and trying to make yourself worthy for the Pope. And then there is also the spectre of marriage that hangs in the background, because back in those days you could be married off and lose your entire family in a week. So yes, there are some fantastic things happening in this that really tie yourselves into the narrative element of what Crusader Kings was all about, but also making sure that it works as a board game as well. They importantly showed this off at some of their big events earlier in this year as well, and a lot of the people that enjoyed the PC game very, very much enjoyed this translation to the tabletop, and vice versa too. As I say, it's got loads of fantastic things working into this. The mechanics are all very simple and easy to play as well. So it's all based a lot around choice and event cards that come up. So that's very cool as well. They're actually including some very nice models to this Kickstarter as well. So a lot of the different factions had their own unique look to them, which is very, very cool indeed. And they're all nicely coloured, which I thought was very cool.
Yeah.
A very nice thing indeed. So yes, some very cool stuff coming out from Crusader Kings. So if you're interested in the PC game, or you like your grand strategy, and you like your 4X with a little bit of a twist, then go and check this one out. The narrative aspect of this is the really cool thing. So the way that it's going to be telling stories and stuff on the tabletop is very nice indeed, and springing some surprises on you at the same time. So yeah.
Fantastic. It looks like it's doing well. And Ben, you look like you're really getting into that.
I think Ben was kind of born at the wrong time. Stick him into like medieval times in Middle England, I'd say.
And he'd be dead of the plague.
I'd be dead.
Fine. He'd be a friar.
He'd either be dead or he'd be ruling it all.
Yeah.
Make me a monk and I can just make beer. There we go. I'll do
Yes.
that.
Okay, next up we have Red Alert by Plastic Soldier Company, a spaceship fleet game.
So yes, this is Red Alert. It's by Richard Borg, who's a very, very famous board game developer, and he has bought his idea of the Command and Color system, which is a very cool card-based system, and used it for this fleet battle game, as you were saying there. It's designed for 2 players to smash it out on the tabletop with a huge board. Well, I say board; it's actually like a felt mat, and you can take control of these massive fleets and fight it out in both scenario play and just grand old duking it out. Fighting each other in just straight up battles as well. The really cool thing about this is that aspect of the Command and Colors thing that's been brought over. So anyone who's actually checked out our article series maybe 2 weeks ago now, which was talking about Command and Colors Ancients, you'll be familiar with some of the mechanics in there, where there's a lot of hidden information and use your cards to order specific parts of your army, but that means that you then have to leave some of it behind as well. So it's it's a bit of a tactical tug of war, effectively, which is very, very cool.
Yeah.
I think there's about 4 to 6 ships per side in this game. They've also included some really cool extra aspects to make it a little bit more sci-fi. So you have a really cool combat deck in this, which sort of gives you a couple more sort of extra boosts and things to your attacks. So there's a couple more surprises in there and anyone that's a fan of combat decks in other games, which has got sort of like a random element to it as well. It means that you'll never quite know what's going to happen. So maybe ships can explode or when they get destroyed and things like that. Which is very cool.
From what I can gather, there's also a focus on scenario play, so it is not just line up and blast the crap out of each other.
Although that can be fun.
Key scenarios and objectives.
Well,
so going back to what was one of the key things about Command and Colors and the Ancients games and all those other games back in the day is that it wasn't necessarily just about fighting it out and killing the other person. It was about controlling strategic areas of space. In this case, it actually literally is space, whereas in the old days it would have been like hills and towns and cities and things. So so some very cool stuff going on here, and a very big designer behind this. And Plastic Soldier Company have been doing some amazing stuff. Over the last couple of years, they've done their great war board game as well. It's very good. And the Tank War edition of that too. So they definitely know what they're doing now, and they've got some big designers behind them. So yeah.
Right, our last one, Mythic Battles, Pantheon 1.5.
Yes.
Yeah, so for anyone that missed out on Mythic Battles the first time round, Monolith are back now on Kickstarter for just a few more days now. It's about 6 days left on the campaign, where you can get in there and pretty much buy everything that you could have got in the original Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So if you missed it out and you want to get involved, then you can go and do all that, get stuck into it. One of the other big things they've talked about is they have been tweaking and changing a couple of things. So a lot of the components have been updated to make them a little bit more user-friendly, which is very nice. They've also gone in and reworded a lot of stuff in the rulebook, so it's a little bit clearer too, which was a very cool thing to see.
Yeah.
So they've basically taken a lot of stuff on board from the community and everyone that backed the first Kickstarter, and then made sure that it's a new primed version of the game. That doesn't mean that everything that you got in the first one is obsolete. That is all fine and easy to use. You can still use everything over. There's just a couple of things that you might need to note down as you're setting up your games and things. But in terms of like component quality and all that kind of thing as well, like that, they've tweaked some of the terrain bits, which was cool, and they've also changed the way the sliders work as well, so it's a little bit easier to use them on the player board, which was nice.
Yeah.
And as I was saying earlier in the news, they've got a version of Ymir that you can pick up to use in your games. So there's going to be a full crossover with Ragnarok when that comes out next year. Which is very cool. And there's even an alternative head for that Ymir.
Oh,
which looks like the artwork one.
All right, okay, all right, hey.
And also they've added a new god into the mix as well. So Dionysus is also going to be available to play as one of the mighty fellows that lead your armies into victory.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And then they've added Frozen Battle Dice.
Frozen Battle Dice
look
in there as
interesting.
well, because you need them.
I'm just very excited to see Dionysus in there.
What do you know about Dionysus?
Dionysus is the god of wine and partying and madness.
It is the god of Warren.
It is. It's
No, Dionysus is not a good guy.
He's not a good.
No.
Well, neither am I.
Yeah.
So it's like,
This is a guy who turned people into dolphins for messing with him, drove people mad. It's some of his followers who tore Orpheus limb from limb and threw his head in the river.
yeah. So
This
so
sounds like
dolphins.
par for the course for a Greek god.
Yeah. It also. I'm really digging this. So it's dolphins, mammoths. Sending people mad. Love that. And orifices as well. Yeah.
You know, I stand corrected. Yeah, this is Warren.
he's back, everybody.
It's everything I can
He is
watch.
Bacchus.
Right, thank you guys for watching. Competitions wise, okay. So last week, Justin, Sam, bring me up to speed. What's going on here? We're announcing winners for the Red Oak starter set.
Yes.
And a set of Red Oak terrain.
Yeah, so the Red Oak starter set is the 2-player starter set that's coming for Wild West Exodus. If I remember correctly, this should feature the Outlaws versus the Lawmen.
Yeah.
And you're going to get a set of buildings to actually get your gaming table up and running and get you playing some fantastic games in the Wild West.
Okay, and our winner was
They were Battlehawk.
Battlehawk here on Beast of War. Yes.
Yeah. And they said that the best Wild West Exodus mini has to be the Apache Kid.
Ta-da! That's actually a really good shout. That's a lovely, lovely miniature.
That is a fantastic mini, actually. Okay, congratulations, Battlehawk. Claim a prize now.
It's different.
Claim a prize is no longer up there. Okay? Claim a prize is now down at the footer. Okay? So go to the footer of Beast of War 2.0.
Somewhere down there.
And fill in the claim a prize. It'll come through to Justin. And then just wait patiently. Don't worry. Just wait patiently.
I will make sure it happens. I promise.
Okay, next up, the CMON swag bag from the CMON convention. And the winner was Lawnor. Congratulations, Lawnor, from Beast of War. Get in touch. Fill in your prize claim down in the footer. And what was it he had commented?
Yeah, they commented on the post for The Godfather, Corleone's Empire, that was playing at the CMON Expo, and they said, "Is this a game you run away from if someone pops off to the loo?"
Or was that Goodfellas? Okay, the competition this week. We are giving away the Blighted Ogren themed force.
Yes, for the Legion of Everblack.
Have a quick look in the box till you see. So this is a full themed force.
Yes, everything you need to play.
About $180 worth of force.
Yeah, 150.
About 150, yeah.
I have been enjoying the way Privateer have been doing these.
So in there
you're
is
gonna get
all of the goodies that you're going to get.
Now, this is a very new force as well.
Yes.
And importantly with this force and all the theme forces that Privateer Press do, they're completely self-contained and they'll work on their own, but then you can combine them with the getting started kit for each of the factions to make a full-on force for your tournament games as well. So,
if you want to be in with a chance on that,
if I may, for your chance to win, you have to tell us which theme forces you would love to see converted into a box like this.
And do it here on beastsofwar.com.
Yes.
So only entries, a free account, create a free account on beastsofwar.com, get into the comments, and only entries here on beastsofwar.com will qualify to win that, and we will pick a random winner next week.
This is your chance.
And when they paint up their army, they can create a project, and they can show off how they did it. Which would be cool.
Yeah,
absolutely, because we're going to be firing up a Hobby Night Live sometime soon. Sometime this month, we're going to be doing a Hobby Night Live for us all to start getting our projects and things like that up and running.
Yeah.
So come on over to beastsofwar.com, fire up a project, and get it in there, and we'll be reaching out to you guys and letting you know about Hobby Night Live very soon. Right, tomorrow we're back with the XLBS. We need more backstagers. We want some more backstagers because we want to talk to lots more of you guys, and we want you to get involved and support the site and support the content and support all of the other contributors who are getting in and getting involved in what we're doing. So if we could encourage you to come over tomorrow and give it a try, to come and watch the XLBS version of this show, because tomorrow we like to take meaty topics. We like to chillax, relax, talk about all sorts of stuff, but we also like to get a nice meaty topic. And my meaty topic is, I put it to you guys that Kickstarter has improved game.
Ooh. No, okay, I'm not going to ask the question because I'm instantly bubbling with questions for this, but I will save them for the show.
Save them for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Save them for tomorrow. But I'm putting this to you, and I'm going to do my best to prove it to you by taking you on a tour through a series of games just to see what I'm talking about. And if you're interested, and you're interested in things in the industry, and you want to just come and chillax with us on a Sunday, come and join Backstage. It would be an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Sam. And most importantly, thank you to you guys. Have a fantastic hobby week.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now, and be sure to check out beastsofwar.com for the latest gaming news and gaming Let's Plays. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.